who was right, but he was flawed as well. So we're going to discuss Tina Turner, but also we're going to look at, as a couple of articles I want to share dealing with how we should have never accepted making fun of Tina Turner's domestic violence abuse as well. Okay. Then I was on Faraji Muhammad's show, The Culture, on the Black Star Media Network, Roland Martin's network, this past Tuesday. I was on. So that was Tuesday, May 30th. We talked about Amanda Gorman, poet Amanda Gorman, who delivered the speech, the poem, The Hill We Climb, at the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, January 20th, 2021. Well, her poem, The Hill We Climb, has been banned or somewhat banned in a elementary school in Florida. Okay. And it's been banned because one little old parent, she may be white, she may be Hispanic, complained about the poem. Okay. So the poem has been moved to the middle school section, and it's restricted. It's on restricted access for elementary school students. But the parent also says, in an article from thegrio.com talks about this, the parent also says that she's never read the poem. So you have to wonder, well, what's the problem with the poem? Okay, why is the poem being banned? So we discussed this on Faraji Muhammad's show, The Culture, and we talked about the book banning, the culture wars, Governor Ron DeSantis down in Florida, different things like that. So I'm gonna let you hear some of that conversation. And then we also talked about, I wanted to talk about the movie, The Little Mermaid. Okay. And we know last week, The Little Mermaid was the #1 movie in America. And this week, let's see, The Little Mermaid drops to #2. Spider-Man, the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is #1 at $120 million. The Little Mermaid, oh, I'm sorry, Spider-Man, let's see, June, latest weekend, $120 million this weekend for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and $40 million for The Little Mermaid. But The Little Mermaid was the #1 movie for a week. It's #2 this week. And we talked about the impact that seeing an African-American female portray the Little Mermaid, the impact that that's having on African-American girls. Okay. And a lot of the positive reviews the movie's getting, and the performance of Haley Bailey, right? One of the things I wanted to talk about is that it appears that Disney has a real problem with African-American men and showing African-American men in positions of being kings, being a prince, ruling over a country, ruling over a kingdom, controlling natural resources, being in positions of power. Okay. Now, some people may think this is a conspiracy or over exaggeration or something like that. Well, no, I gave the example of the first movie from Disney portraying a African American princess, and that was The Princess and the Frog, and Princess Tiana, who was African American. And I talked about how the man that she ends up with, the man of her dreams, is Prince Naveen, who looks like he's white or Arab, Eurasian, something like that. He's not African. He's not a black man. The black man in the movie was the voodoo priest, and he was evil, and he was the adversary. He was the enemy of the black woman in this Disney movie. So I broke down that movie on Faraji Muhammad's show and related it also to the Haitian Revolution. So you have to hear that part. But we also talked about the Little Mermaid, and I'm not against Halle Bailey, not Halle Berry. For those that don't know who Halle Bailey is, Halle Bailey's 23, Halle Berry is 50 something. Okay, you talking two different generations. Not against Halle Bailey being the Little Mermaid, but when we take our little girls to see this movie and she ends up with a white man in a Disney movie, why not? So this is a live action movie of the 1989 cartoon, The Little Mermaid, right? Why couldn't the man she end up with? So if you cast The Little Mermaid as being black as opposed to white, why couldn't the man she ends up with be black also? Is that too much black for Disney? Does Disney have a problem with showing black men as kings and a prince and being in power and ending up with a black woman? Is that too much for Disney? We'll talk about that as well. Then I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, June 2nd, and we discussed a number of different topics. We talked about the debt ceiling, and President Joe Biden did his address at 7 p.m. during the show, so we covered that live as well. But we also talked about the Biden-Harris administration and Vice President Kamala Harris leading the initiative to fight against the devaluation of African-American homes and the crisis that's taking place there. So we're going to talk about that later in the show. Right now on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Sign up for our email newsletter. Follow us on our social media platforms, The African History Network on Facebook, Michael M. Hotep on YouTube. And June 7th, we know, is the birthday of one Prince Rogers Nelson, okay, who is the ancestor, not Prince, but is also my birthday as well. So I'm getting ready for my 52nd birthday also. So and when I was at the events last weekend for Phi Beta Sigma, so I've lost 25 pounds since October 17th, 2022. Since January 2022, I've lost 35 pounds. So some people hadn't seen me in a number of months, things like that. So they were shocked as working out, doing my cardio 5 days a week, have my diet under control, been a vegetarian for 16 years. So I haven't been in this good of a shape since probably 2014. Okay, so when you see me at Juneteenth events, a lot of people haven't seen me in some months or a few years, things like this. So I haven't been this slim since probably about 2014. All right, listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. For Michael M. Hotep, we'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by, everybody. Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. I have to get ready for this next segment. Stand by. Stand by, back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Back from break in 3 minutes. Bathroom break in 2 minutes. Bathroom break in 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation WFDF. Okay, calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Okay, right before the break, we were doing a rundown of the show, and we opened up talking about Tina Turner. Okay, Tina Turner passed away at age 83. There's a good article from the New York Times dealing with Tina Turner, and also one from Variety. Tina Turner, magnetic singer of explosive power, is dead at 83. Hailed in the 1960s for her dynamic performances with her first husband, Ike, she became a sensation as a recording artist, often echoing her personal struggles in her songs. Okay, so many people saw the movie "What's Love Got to Do with It," that was about her life and being with the Ike and Tina Turner review, and then separating from Ike Turner and then coming back to performing, having an album, 1984. Private Dancer, which changed everything. Okay, so Tina Turner, the earth-shaking singer whose raspy vocals, sexual magnetism, and explosive energy made her an unforgettable live performer and one of the most successful recording artists of all time, died Wednesday at her home in Switzerland near Zurich. She was 83 years old. She was 83 years old. So that was May 24th. Now, her publicist, Bernard Doherty, announced the death in a statement, but did not provide the cause. She had a stroke in recent years and was known to be struggling with a kidney disease and other illnesses. Now, few days later, story came out that she died of natural causes. Now, Tina Turner embarked on her half-century career in the late 1950s while still attending high school when she began singing with Ike Turner and his band, the King of Rhythms. At first, she was only an occasional performer, but she soon became the group's star attraction. Uh, at first, All right. At first, she was an occasional singer, but soon became the group star attraction. And Ike Turner's wife. With her potent bluesy voice and her frenetic dancing style, she made an instant impression. Their ensemble, soon renamed the Ike and Tina Turner Revue, became one of the premier touring soul acts in black venues on the so-called Chitlin circuit. After the Rolling Stones invited the group to open for them, first on a British tour in 1966, and then on an American tour in 1969, white listeners in both countries began paying attention. So Tina Turner, who insisted on adding rock songs by the Beatles and the Rolling Stones to her repertoire, reached an enormous new audience, giving the Ike and Tina Turner Revue its first top 10 hit with her version of Creedence Clearwater Revival's song Proud Mary in 1971, and a Grammy Award for Best R&B Vocal Performance by a Group. So this is an iconic performance of the Ike and Tina Turner Revue doing Proud Mary by Creedence Clearwater Revival. I can remember watching an episode of Sanford and Son, and Grady Wilson was talking about Ike and Tina Turner. I remember hearing my parents talk about Ike and Tina Turner. And then we all remember in 2008 at the Grammys when Beyonce, who was heavily inspired by Tina Turner, performed with Tina Turner on stage, and they performed Proud Mary. Okay, now, if we go back to this article from the New York Times, and there's a couple of more articles I want to look at as well. So rock and roll was a heavy influence on Tina Turner. This is not from the article. This is me. I saw some interviews with her recently, where she talked about how alive it felt to listen to rock and roll and perform rock and roll, as opposed to just rhythm and blues songs. Okay, now we know that the foundation of rock and roll is rhythm and blues. We know the architect of rock and roll is Little Richard. Okay, and the Rolling Stones used to perform with Little Richard. We know James Brown was a vocalist for Little Richard. A lot of these legends, Jimi Hendrix was a guitarist for Little Richard. A lot of these legends come through Little Richard. Okay, Little Richard called himself the architect of rock and roll, and I totally agree with him. So when I was a kid, I had my parents ordered this 33 1/3 album for me called The Roots of Rock and Roll. And The Roots of Rock and Roll, they had all these African-American singers on them. Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Big Mama Thornton, who sung the song, recorded the song Hound Dog before Elvis Presley recorded it. It had songs like 60 Minute Men. So it had like a lot of these early African-American rhythm and blues acts or rock and roll acts. Okay, before the Beatles, before the Rolling Stones, before Elvis Presley. Some of them may have been before Bill Haley and the Comets, Rockin' Around the Clock, okay, which was the theme song from Happy Days, right? So when you listen to Tina Turner, she loved rock and roll, and she loved how alive rock and roll felt. So her music, especially like when you listen to her songs, like when she performed live, even when she came back, in 1984. Now, before Private Dancer came out, she recorded a single. She did a cover of Al Green's Since We've Been Together, the song by Al Green. Okay. Then she comes out with Private Dancer in 1984, and it just totally blows everybody away. And Tina Turner's back, and she's introduced to a whole new generation of people who may have only known her by name or may have only known her by her association with Ike Turner. Let's go to the phone lines quickly. Let's go to Tony. Tony, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from.
calling from Detroit.
Okay,
Um,
Detroit, Michigan.
good,
Okay, go
good
ahead
to
with your
talk
question or
to you,
comment.
Michael. What you said about Tina Turner is awesome. Oh, there's such an echo.
You said what?
It's a lot of echo. Can you hear me good?
I can hear you. Go ahead. We're live on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, good. Tina Turner. So the criticism irritates me. She was awesome. She triumphed over tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
She made me appreciate rock and roll. Her voice was so suited for it.
Yeah.
And I just admire her so much.
Now, which criticism are you referring to?
Oh, the criticism about when she married the man who gave her his kidneys.
Oh, okay.
And
Her
so
second
she
husband.
has
Her second husband.
$250 million. And, both her sons tragically passed away. And, people speculate on, what she did. And I'm like, she was amazing. And I love her so much, her music. That Let's Stay Together. Wow. I love Al Green.
Right.
And I love her rendition as well.
Yeah, Let's Stay Together. Yep. Yeah, I remember there was a music video for that. It was her performing the song, and that was before Private Dancer came out. Absolutely. Okay. All right, Tony. Thanks for calling.
Absolutely. One more
go
thing.
Go ahead.
One more thing. Can I just comment on Amanda Gorman?
I haven't gotten to that topic yet. Do me a favor. Call back when we get to that topic. I haven't gotten to the topic yet. Okay.
Oh, okay. No problem. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay, look, you're to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. I'm your host, Brother Michael M. Hotep. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Stand by. Bathroom break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Bathroom break in 2 minutes. Bathroom break in 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show. All right, the calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Be sure to visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. You can register for the online history classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. We had a great class session today of Black resistance movements from the Haitian Revolution, U.S. Civil War, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, 1800 to 1968. That class is on sale, $40, regularly $130. When you scroll down the page, you'll see information for that course. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. And we look at history chronologically from 1800 through 1968, 1970, to see what leads to the Civil War taking place, what happened to us after slavery ended, what were the laws and policies put in place, so we can better understand what's going on today and understand where we need to go from here. Your understanding of politics is directly related to your understanding of history. Also, the first class that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We have that class all on demand. The class is concluded. It's on sale $60, regularly $130. So you can register for that course and watch it all on demand. Okay, and we have a bundle pack where you get both classes for $80. All right, I want to go back to wrap up this topic here dealing with Tina Turner. Now, there was a article that I read. It was a couple of articles, and this centered around making fun of Tina Turner's domestic violence abuse. Okay, and that becoming a punchline in hip hop songs, things of this nature. And hip hop, there's a lot of misogyny in some hip hop, which is problematic also. Okay, which should not be tolerated, which comes out of white male patriarchy. But if we look at, so there were two articles. There was one by, let's see here. There were two articles. Let's look at this first one here. Tina Turner was open about Ike's abuse. Rappers made it a punchline. Tina Turner, rappers made her a punchline. So this is from rollingstone.com, picked up by yahoo.com. rollingstone.com, picked up by yahoo.com. Tina Turner was open about Ike's abuse. Rappers made her a punchline. This is by Andre G., May 25th, 2023. And very quickly here, let's see. It says, two-time Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Tina Turner died at age 83 Wednesday, leaving behind an enormous legacy. She was celebrated as the queen of rock and roll with more than 100 million albums sold. She won 8 Grammy Awards and an incalculable impact on popular music. Her vibrant live shows laid the blueprint for generations of leading women to follow. The road of every pop singer's feverish onstage dance routines leads back to Tina Turner. And while there is so much to celebrate from her legacy, others are recalling on how some in pop culture callously flattened her legacy into being a survivor of Ike Turner's abuse. Their dysfunctional relationship was depicted in 1993's the 1993 movie What's Love Got to Do with It, which chronicled Ike Turner's abuse during their 16-year-long marriage. Now, Angela Bassett, who did a fantastic job portraying Tina Turner, and Lawrence Fishburne, who also did an excellent job of portraying Ike Turner, put on rousing, unforgettable performances. But some drew the wrong conclusion. Ike Turner's music career never recovered, but far too many rappers made him a beacon of domineering idolatry. And this deals with the misogyny that exists in some hip hop. Okay. Now, Lawrence Fishburne's depiction of Ike Turner made him ripe to be referenced as a representation of force, despite his violence being aimed at a black woman. but with hip hop's inability to reckon with Tory Lanez, who was convicted of shooting Megan Thee Stallion, Chris Brown, Chris Brown had a physical altercation with Rihanna, Lil Uzi Vert, Playboy Cardi, or any of the community's other beloved festival headliners with multiple abuse accusations. One wonders if rappers spit bars like Quavo's quote Ike Turner with the left hand, unquote, in spite of him violating a black woman or because of it. The Ike Turner lines are seemingly endless. Okay. Kanye had a song, Before I Beat Myself Up Like Ike, on Diamonds Are Forever. He needs mental help, by the way. Kanye West. The Notorious B.I.G. rhymed, beating MFs like Ike beat Tina, okay, on Machine Gun Funk. Lloyd Banks spat, We Might Wake Up and have sex like Ike and Tina Turner, or on I'm So Fly. And then Fabulous said, she called me Ike Turner because I beat her in the car. So when you see some rappers, not all of them, but when you see some rappers idolizing someone who committed domestic violence and beat a black woman, and then you see some rappers who get domestic violence cases for beating a black woman, you start saying, well, wait a second here. Is there a connection? Is art imitating life? Is life influencing art? And though he was referencing to sex, it's arguable that the masculine obsession with phallicism as violence fuses the double meaning. Okay, it is referencing Fabulous. I don't know the last time Fabulous had a hit, though. Now, one of the most egregious Ike Turner references or bars or lines in the hip hop song was from Jay-Z, who's married to Beyonce, and Beyonce idolizes Tina Turner. Is Jay-Z uttering Eat the Cake anime on Drunk in Love, which is Beyonce's song. She did a duet with her husband, Jay-Z. The line references a scene from What's Love Got to Do with It in the diner, where Ike Turner forces Tina Turner to eat cake when she said she didn't want to eat the cake, and then he slaps her. He slapped. I think her name was Jackie, played by. She was another singer. She was a backup singer, played by Vanessa Bell Calloway. Vanessa Bell Calloway's character tells Tina Turner it's not all right to let a man beat on you. She used some other colorful language for that. And then she said, if you don't get away from him, he's going to kill you. All right. So now this is in the movie. Now I think it's in this article. They show a scene from that. They show that scene from the movie. Okay. So this is not something funny to make joke. This is not something funny to joke about a black woman being beaten. And, you know, we talked about R. Kelly on this show before. We talked about the trial of R. Kelly. We talked about the conviction of R. Kelly as well. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. If, number one, like when you watch, for instance, Surviving R. Kelly, and they talk about him being outside of a high school in Chicago talking to 15, 16, 17-year-old black girls after school. And I said, if R. Kelly was, so this is like the south side of Chicago where African Americans live, apparently. If R. Kelly was on the north side of Chicago where white people live, outside of a high school, a predominantly white high school, talking to 15, 16, 17-year-old white girls, that behavior would have been stopped 30 years ago. Period. That behavior would have been stopped 30 years ago. The only reason why R. Kelly was allowed to abuse, molest women, whatever he did and what he's convicted for, the only reason why he's allowed to do that and get away with it, and people turn their head or become accomplices or what have you, is because these were largely black women he was doing it to. And nobody cares when generally speaking, very few people care when black women are abused. If those had been white women he was doing that to, that behavior would have been put to a stop, especially if he was outside of a high school talking to 15, 16, 17-year-old white girls. We probably would not know who R. Kelly is today because that behavior would have been stopped 30 years ago. Okay, he'd have been in prison, or he wouldn't have a career or something. They would have stopped that. But see, you only protect what you respect. You only protect what you respect. So now this reminds me of in Surviving R. Kelly, there was a segment where Chance the Rapper said that maybe he did not believe the accusers, okay, because they were black women. Let me see. I have that article here. And I'm glad he was interviewed for it, and I'm glad he admitted it. Okay. Chance the Rapper on R. Kelly's alleged victims, I didn't value their stories because they were black women. Now, this is from hellobeautiful.com. Okay. You can go research this yourself. I remember him saying this in the documentary. Okay. Let's look at this here. We're coming up on a break. And when we come back from the break, we'll talk about Amadan Gorman as well, and her poem, The Hill We Climb, being banned at a elementary school in Florida. Chance the Rapper on R. Kelly's alleged victims. I didn't value their stories because they were black. You listen to the African History Network show on Michael M. Hotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Do you owe back taxes, fines, and penalties to the IRS? The IRS now offers new relief options for taxpayers affected by COVID-19, but you can't go it alone. Call Tax Solutions now. Our team of former IRS agents and tax professionals can get you the best deal. We know the COVID-19 rules. Call us and never speak to the IRS again.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions now, and they got the IRS off my back. Tax Solutions now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours. The virus has caused the IRS to take extensive action to help taxpayers. So if you owe $10,000 or more, this is the best time in years to settle your tax debt. I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed. Remember, the IRS will not give up until you pay. Call 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499.
Did you know most vitamin supplements don't even come from food? Even products with colorful fruits and vegetables adorning the labels are seldom derived from produce. Typically, supplements are synthetic, made in a laboratory. Modern science makes synthetically imitate these chemicals, but your body isn't fooled. It knows the difference, and it craves quality materials to build your care and fight illness. You need to consume fruits and vegetables daily in a variety of colors, as well as whole grains and other fresh foods. That's why I formulated Balance of Nature. I wanted to be able to give my patients a natural alternative to the cheap, unnatural chemistry by giving them real fruits and vegetables. In fact, the only ingredients inside the Balance of Nature are whole fruits and vegetables. Don't settle for imitation nutrition. Reach for the good stuff, the real stuff.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. Get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code RADIO5.
WABO gets a facelift and is now My 38 Detroit. Along with a facelift comes a new program on Mondays at 8 p.m. Catch a 2-hour block of Dateline and Chicago PD on Thursdays and on Fridays. You'll get more Chicago PD to start your weekend. You'll still have some of your favorite shows like Mom, Blackish, and Friends. Just adding more for you to enjoy on My 30th.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, WFDF. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about this piece here from HelloBeautiful.com, and this was so we were talking about Tina Turner. We were dealing with one of these articles that dealt with how it was wrong to make fun of Tina Turner's domestic violence abuse, okay, at the hands of Ike Turner. And in the article, it referenced the song Crazy in Love, Drunk in Love by Beyonce featuring Jay-Z. And Jay-Z has a lyric where he says, "Eat the cake, anime," which is a reference to the scene in What's Love Got to Do with It. Okay. So when they're in the diner. Now, there was a article from HelloBeautiful.com from January 6, 2019. January 6, 2019. And this deals with some statements that Chance the Rapper, who is a more sensible rapper, by the way, Chance the Rapper made about believing the accusers of R. Kelly. Chance the Rapper on R. Kelly's alleged victims, quote, "I didn't value their stories because they were Black women," end quote. In an exclusive interview for Cassius, the Grammy-winning rapper apologized for working with the Pied Piper R. Kelly in the past and why he did it. So very quickly here, it says a clip featuring Chance the Rapper is making waves on the internet as the finale of Surviving R. Kelly dropped on Saturday night. In an exclusive interview for Cassius, former Interactive One VP Jamila Lemieux sat down with the Grammy winner in May 2018 to discuss a range of topics, including his past collaboration with R. Kelly. Okay, so he said that Chance the scene. Okay, he said, but Black women are exponentially a higher oppressed and violated group of people just in comparison to the whole world. Maybe I didn't care because I didn't value the accusers' stories because they were Black women. Talking about the accusers of R. Kelly. Now, Rolling Stone had previously reported that Chance the Rapper simply said, "I didn't value the accusers' stories because they were Black women," end quote. However, Chance responded saying the quote was taken out of context because it didn't take into account everything he said before that in the interview. In a note he shared on social media, he explained the controversial quote. He said the quote was taken out of context. The truth is, any of us who ever ignored the R. Kelly stories or ever believed he was being set up, attacked by the system, as Black men often are, were doing so at the detriment of Black women and girls, I apologize to all his survivors for working with him and for taking this long to speak out. Okay, so read the rest of this article here. Chance the Rapper on R. Kelly's alleged victims, "I didn't value their stories because they were Black women." This is from HelloBeautiful.com. But this, falls in line with some of these references to Ike Turner beating Tina Turner being beaten by Ike, etc., in hip hop songs and making fun of it. And it's not funny. Okay, if somebody did that to your mother or your sister or your daughter, I hope you wouldn't think it was funny. Then there was another article. We should have never been so comfortable mocking Tina Turner's abuse. Now, this is from Kendall Cunningham for the dailybeast.com, May 25th, 2023. Okay. We should have never been so comfortable mocking Tina Turner's abuse. And very quickly here, it says, even before I was familiar with Tina Turner as the queen of rock and roll, or could recite a single song lyric of hers, I somehow knew the most horrific, humiliating details about her life. Okay, this isn't. Let's see here. Let's go. In the case of Tina Turner, who died this week from an unknown illness, I would never view her solely as a survivor or a survivor of her ex-husband and musical partner Ike Turner's ruthless abuse. If we go down here, okay, let's see. Unfortunately, I watched Ike Turner's mistreatment of Tina be met with this same kind of amusement as an adult. Just last year, I saw a production of Tina, the singer's biographical jukebox musical in my hometown. While the entire show was pretty subpar, I found myself particularly annoyed during scenes where Ike's character would berate and curse at Tina before eventually beating her. The depiction itself did not necessarily upset me, but the eerie amount of laughter these moments provoked from the audience left me with a disgusted, queasy feeling. Okay, so read the rest of this article here. This is from the Daily Beast, picked up by Yahoo Finance. We should have never been so comfortable mocking Tina Turner's abuse. All right, now, Amanda Gorman, who is a poet, and she delivered she recited a poem at the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, January 20th, 2021, called "The Hill We Climb." Right. Her poem is coming under fire in a elementary school in Florida. I talked about this on Faraji Muhammad's show, The Culture, on the Black Star Media Network. I'll let you hear a segment of that conversation when we come back from the break. If we look at this article quickly here from NBCnews.com, this takes place in Miami-Dade County. Now, Florida school limits access to Amanda Gorman's inaugural poem and other books after parents' complaint. Now, it was one parent who complained. And 4 of the 5 books have been banned. Okay, a Miami-Dade County Public Schools Committee moved Amanda Gorman's "The Hill We Climb" to the middle school section of a library in Miami Lakes, Florida. Okay, now this article is from May 24, 2023. Amanda Gorman, the nation's first national youth poet laureate, spoke out on Tuesday against what she described as a book ban after access to the poem she recited at the inauguration was limited at a Florida school. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. You listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Back from break in 2 minutes. Stand by. Bathroom break in 2 minutes.
The program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media. If great programming is what you want, 910 AM is what you need. I'm your host, Brother Michael in Hotel. On the After History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. A lot of people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They may have the areas of expertise, but some people need to learn how to stay in their own lane. If you don't know, just say you don't know. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to jump right into this. Catch it all right here on 910 AM Superstation.
Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. Can you kill the music, please? 313-778-7600. Aubrey, take the music out. All right. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about the... Can you kill the music, please? Thank you. Right before the break, we were talking about Amanda Gorman having her poem banned, or at least moved to be restricted, having restricted access to elementary school students. All right, now this is in Florida. Okay, it's a Miami-Dade County public school. If we look quickly here at this article, then we're going to go to clip number 1 from Faraji Muhammad's show, The Culture. Miami-Dade County Public Schools moved the hill we climb to the middle school section of the library after a parent filed a formal objection to the work, according to documents obtained by the Florida Freedom to Read Project and shared with media. The Miami Herald first reported this story. Now, quote, unnecessary book bans like these are on the rise, and we must fight back, Amanda Gorman said in a post on Facebook that accompanied a one-page statement in which she said her book had been banned, okay? In which she said her book had been banned from an elementary school. In a statement, the district said no literature had been banned or removed. Quote, it was determined at the school that the hill we climb is better suited for middle school students, and it was shelved in the middle school section of the media center. The book remains available in the media center, end quote, the statement said. Now, a review of 5 titles available at the library at Bob Graham Education Center in Miami Lakes, Florida, was triggered after a parent of two students filled out forms requesting the titles be removed, quote, from the total environment, end quote, from the total environment, according to documents obtained by the Freedom to Read Project. The Freedom to Read Project, which is a group founded by public school parents and dedicated to fighting what it calls book bans in the state of Florida. Now, the review by a committee composed of multiple educators and others connected to the school resulted in the hill we climb being moved to the middle school section of the school's library, which is formerly called its media center, the Miami-Dade district said. Now, the committee also determined at least two other titles it reviewed should be shifted to the middle school shelves, according to the documents. Now, the documents were obtained after the Freedom to Read Project filed a public records request in February of 2023, and includes the parents' challenge as well as written conclusions from the review committee, said Reagan Miller of the group. Now, Reagan Miller decried the school's restriction because he said children seeking knowledge on their own free time and who might not be able to easily purchase books outright should be encouraged. She said this is not classroom instruction. This is kids who are seeking more information. Now, the Miami Herald reported that challenges to book access in Florida school libraries have increased since Governor Ron DeSantis signed a number of education-related bills into law, including what critics have dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill, which outlaws kindergarten through third grade instruction related to gender identity and sexual orientation. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis did not respond to requests for comment. Okay, I want to go to this clip here from Faraji Muhammad's show, The Culture. We discussed this early in the week. I was on the show on Tuesday. Let's go to clip number one, please, Aubrey.
Well, one of the things that we have been vigilant upon is, and still keeping the conversation going on about, is the issue of banning books and banning literature and other literary pieces that would help to empower students, particularly Black and brown students in the state of Florida. And this next story falls right in line with it. And it's such a sad state of affairs, folks. It really is. And I want y'all to think with me on this. It's a sad state of affairs that we can't even read certain things, or our children shouldn't be exposed to certain things. See, this is the violence, folks. This is the violence that your child cannot be exposed to a certain level of history. They can't be exposed to a certain level of philosophical thought. They can't be exposed to a poem. A poem. This is the case with the situation surrounding youth poet laureate Amadan Gorman. Y'all know Sister Amanda. Amanda is that dynamic sister who gave that fantastic poem, The Hill We Climb, when she read that during President Biden's inauguration. She made history. It was a major historical moment. Beautiful young sister. She's actually from Los Angeles. And she has been writing poetry, putting out books and content, and letting people know. She's the first National Youth Poet Laureate. And she has been breaking through a whole bunch of obstacles and barriers. There she is right there. That was on Inauguration Day. Tore the house down, right? But this poem, The Hill We Climb, becomes a problem for one parent. One parent. I want y'all to listen to me, crew. One parent decided that this poem was not appropriate for sort of her children and other children to read, that she filed a complaint about it to get it totally removed. As she said, she wanted to make sure that that piece was not available and would be removed from the total environment of the school that her children went to. One parent. Now, when we say that we don't have a voice, or some of us may think we don't have a voice, I want you to keep this story in mind, because this was one parent. And guess what happened, folks? There were some changes that the school made because of one parent's disdain with how this poem would affect her children. Let me go into it. Then I got my brother Michael and Hojak. This is coming up from NBC. Take a look. Miami-Dade County Public Schools moved the hill recline to the middle school section of the library after a parent, meaning one, folks, filed a formal objection to the work, according to documents obtained by the Florida Freedom to Read Project and shared with media. In a statement, the district said no literature had been banned or removed. This is the play on words. They didn't ban it. They didn't remove it. It was determined at the school that the hill recline is better suited to middle school students, and it was shelved in the middle school section of the media center. The book remains available in the media center, according to the statement. Informed regarding the hill I climbed, the parent wrote that it was, quote, not educational and contains indirect messages. Come on. The committee found Gorman's book has educational value according to the documents, but it was moved because its vocabulary was, quote, determined to be of value for middle school students. A review of 5 titles available at the library at Bob Grant Education Center in Miami Lakes was triggered after a parent of 2 students filled out forms requesting the title be removed from the total environment.
Do you see this award behind me? Me and my twin brother Rasmus got this award.
All right, so skip over the ad.
Educational. This is violence, folks. This is the slippery slope that we are in this country right now. Because some of these parents don't know a damn thing about history. They don't know nothing about literature. They don't know, they haven't read any books. But they say, oh, we heard a message, and it seems like it contains indirect hate messages. Now you can't even say certain things in a poem. Let me bring my brother Michael and Hotep in from the African History Network. And Brother Michael, it's good to see you again. Brother, hey. One time, I'm still stuck on this. I'm still stuck on the fact that this got even to the middle school section. Now, some people will say, well, that's not being banned or removed. It's not being banned or removed, but it's put into a section that you kind of already got the impression that you shouldn't be reading those books.
Right.
It was a political move, right?
Right. Well, it's the whole book banning measure is a political move, and this whole book banning measure has come out of this whole fake critical race theory attack coming from the right wing that actually emanated out of anti-COVID-19 restrictions, especially taking place in school, having to wear masks, having to social distance, school shut down, things of this nature. And what the right wing has done, what a lot of these right-wing parent organizations have done, is they've galvanized the anger that a lot of parents had when it came to COVID restrictions. And now they're using these now they're using the critical race theory fake attack to galvanize support, galvanize people together. And then that next step is banning books. And 50% or more of the books that are being banned are books by non-white authors, books dealing with the civil rights movement, slavery, LGBTQ issues, things of this nature. In this specific incident here in Florida, the parent's name is Daily Salinas, Salinas. And it's one parent, and she could be Hispanic. It's one parent, but when you read the reporting from AtlantaBlackStar.com, they go further than the article from NBC News. AtlantaBlackStar.com says the parent has admitted that she never read the poem or never heard the poem by Amadan Gorman. Okay, and page 2 of the article, she also admitted that she hasn't even read the poem by Gorman, that she wanted to be banned from her children's school, and blamed English not being her first language for her protest. I think you may hear some more coming from this, okay? Because now it's alleged that she's a Proud Boy supporter as well, things of this nature. But she says to the effect that she claimed that she is not a member of Moms for Liberty or the Proud Boys and was only attending some of the same events, things of this nature.
Okay, pause it right there. We'll pick this up on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. Calling numbers 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. We'll be back from break in a few minutes. All right, how's everybody doing? Okay, back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. All right, how's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. Who we have here, post your comments here. We'll give you a shout out on the air. Stand by. Stand by. Part 2.
DeSantis, who signed the
welcome back to the African History Network show. All right. Okay, we're going to finish up that clip. Let's go back to that clip. Let's start it at the 1 minute. We'll start at the 1 minute, 5 second mark. Aubrey, go ahead and finish that clip because we're going to go to part 2. And this is dealing with Amadan Gorman,
who signed the legislation, whatever it was, to ban the book. Ron DeSantis agreed with this. And what Ron DeSantis is doing is using inflicting cruelty among African Americans, inflicting cruelty among migrants coming to this country, inflicting cruelty among people who side with Disney or things like this. He's using this to launch his 2024 presidential campaign and to try to out-Trump Trump. This is what,
let me stop you right there. That's a good point. Let me stop you right there because we got to take another pause. So when we come forward, I want you to continue your train of thought, Brother Michael, on this, because this is the other part of the conversation. This is a slippery slope. That if you got one parent, if you got one group that's dictating the agenda, especially someone who hasn't even read, who's not a literate person, but they're dictating the agenda. See, that requires us to have a certain type of approach to this matter because we're seeing it day in and day out. If a person, I mean, for her to even say she doesn't never read the poem, but she wanted to be banned, come on, folks. And look at what the Miami-Dade County schools, I don't know who's dumber. I don't know who's dumber. Is it the woman or is it the school system that say, yeah, I think we should make them. Look, we got to take a quick pause. Crew, I want to hear what you got to say as we chat with Big Brother Michael and Hotep from the African History Network. And I want to hear from you. Join us in the conversation. Post your thoughts on YouTube as we're streaming live there, as well as on Black Star Network and, of course, on Amazon News. So stay with us.
Pause it right there. Okay. So pause it right there. All right. Now, okay, I want to go back to this article here from NBC News. And then we also have an update from Essence Magazine. There's a good piece from Essence Magazine dealing with this as well. All right, now, if we look at this, let me see, hold on, let me go to the article from NBC News. Okay, if we go back to the article from NBC News, okay, it says, last week, Amadan Gorman's publisher, Penguin Random House, joined the nonprofit organization PEN America in filing a lawsuit that challenges what the organization characterized as unconstitutional book bans at the Escambia County School District in Florida, ESCAMBIA. Now, they listed some of the books that were being challenged in Miami-Dade County. It says the parent did not respond to a voicemail left by NBC News seeking comment. The objection paperwork for Cuban kids and countries in the news, Cuba, mentioned indoctrination, according to the documents. In Miami-Dade County, the parent who requested the titles be reconsidered told the Miami Herald newspaper that she was not in favor of eliminating or censoring books and said she wanted students to learn the truth about Cuba. Now, in the paperwork for the ABCs of Black History, the parent wrote that it contained CRT, critical race theory, and gender ideology, according to the documents. Okay, now the ABCs of Black History, so it's 5 books that are being challenged. Okay, 5 books that were being challenged, and the ABCs of Black History was one of them. Now, the title was tailored for elementary school level reading, but the committee recommended it be shifted to the middle school shelves because of vocabulary and subject matter, according to the documents. That's dealing with the ABCs of Black History. In the form regarding the hill I climbed, the parent wrote that it was not educational and contains indirect hate messages. The committee found Amadan Gorman's book has educational value, according to the documents, but it was moved because its vocabulary quote, was determined to be of value for middle school students, end quote. Now, in the tweet posted later on Tuesday, Amanda Gorman said a ban is, quote, any action taken against a book that leaves access to a book restricted or diminished. The decision to make her book after, to move her book after a parent's complaints, quote, diminishes the access elementary schoolers would have previously had to my poem, end quote, Amanda Gorman said. Check out this article from NBCnews.com. Florida school limits access to Amanda Gorman's inaugural poem and other books after parents' complaint. Now, there was a article from Essence Magazine that I saw, and we posted this on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and my personal page, Michael M. Hotep, also. And this deals with the sales of her book have soared since being banned in Florida. And I'm going to see if I can find, I have to find that article here. I'll pull it up. We have it here right on the home page. Let's see. That was Amanda Gorman. Let me try to find this one here. Okay. Yeah, with her poem, Amanda Gorman's book sales soar amid Florida ban of her work. Okay, this is from Essence Magazine, and let's look at this. Let's look at this article. All right, calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Amanda Gorman's book sales soar amid Florida's ban of her work. Let's try to pull this up quickly. Then I want to go to this story dealing with the Little Mermaid. So this is from, this is updated May 31st, 2023 from Essence Magazine. Just days after it was announced that Amanda Gorman's acclaimed poem, The Hill We Climb, was formally banned in Florida's Miami-Dade elementary school curriculum, the poet laureate has experienced a major boost in interest and support. In the wake of the ban, 3 of Amanda Gorman's literary works, including her collection of poems called Call Us What We Carry, the hard copy of the now controversial poem she read at Joe Biden's inauguration, The Hill We Climb, and her children's book, Change Sings, S-I-N-G-S, have each made Amazon's bestseller list via The Hollywood Reporter. Now, Amanda Gorman's poem was one of several works banned on the basis of touting, quote, indirect hate messages, end quote, and referencing critical race theory after a single challenge by a parent of 2 children at Bob Graham Education Center. Students handpicked certain works as inappropriate for their children's consumption. Okay, read the rest of this article here. And according to PEN America, Florida, quote, had the second highest number of book bans in the country, with 566 book bans across 21 districts, ranging from the Panhandle to South Florida during the 2021-2022 school year. As of March 2023, 173 books have been banned from the Florida's school districts. Okay, so check this article out here from Essence Magazine, essence.com. Amanda Gorman's book sales soar amid Florida's ban of her books. All right, we're coming up here on the break. When we come back, I want you to hear this conversation that we had dealing with the Little Mermaid. We know that the Little Mermaid was the #1 movie in America last weekend, Memorial Day weekend. It's the #2 movie this weekend. #1 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which did about $120 million this weekend, according to boxofficemojo.com. And The Little Mermaid came in #2 with $40 million for this weekend. Okay. Um, we had this discussion dealing with Halle Bailey, and we've talked about this here on the show before. Halle Bailey says seeing a black version of Ariel would have changed my whole outlook on life. This was a article from September 2022 from NBCnews.com. But also, we discussed this on Faraji Muhammad's show, The Culture, when I was on this past Tuesday. Okay, we'll have that discussion, and we'll ask the question. Does Disney have a problem with black men being in positions of power, ruling over nations, being a king or being a prince married to a black woman? If Disney does not have a problem with this, then why does Ariel end up with a white man in the movie? And why does Princess Tiana in the Princess and the Frog end up with Prince Naveen, who's Arab or Eurasian or white, whatever he is? He's not of African descent. And why is the only black male significant character in the Princess and the Frog evil and a voodoo priest and the adversary of Princess Tiana, as opposed to being the protector of Princess Tiana? We'll deal with this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show on Michael Imhotep, 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Back from break in 2 minutes. Stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show. All right. Um, right before the break, we were talking about the Little Mermaid. So the Little Mermaid was the number. Okay, kill the music, please. Little Mermaid was the number one movie last weekend, Memorial Day weekend. The number one movie last weekend, Memorial Day weekend. We know it came in number 2 this weekend. Can you please stop the music? When we look at, so there were a couple articles dealing with, Aubrey, can you kill the music, please? There was one article from theguardian.com. There was one article from theguardian.com called "The Little Mermaid, Halle Bailey as a Child." Stop the music. Okay, theguardian.com had an article, "The Little Mermaid's Halle Bailey as a child seeing a black Ariel would have changed my life. As a child seeing a black Ariel would have changed my life." So we have that article, and it says, let's see, that's from Saturday, May 20th, 2023. So we have that article. Then also there's one from NBC News from September 2022. And the name of that article is Halle Bailey says seeing a black version of Ariel would have changed my whole outlook on life. The singer takes on the role of the Little Mermaid in Disney's latest live action remake. Okay, so she's been getting a lot of good reviews for her performance in the Little Mermaid. I haven't seen the movie yet. Really don't plan on seeing the movie. I may, if it comes on cable at some point, I may watch it. I'm not going to the theater to see it. But we discussed this on, we're going to clip 3, Aubrey, because I emailed you clip 3. We're going to clip 3, and we discussed the Little Mermaid, but also we got into a discussion dealing with the Princess and the Frog. The Princess and the Frog. This was on Faraji Muhammad's show, The Culture. Let's go to clip 3, please. Okay, we'll get that going. So if we look at this piece here from theguardian.com, let me go back to this.
Folks, welcome back to the show. We've been checking in with my brother Michael and Hotep. And as we talk about what's happening with Amadan Gorman and her poem, and you know, she has put it out there that she's going to make sure that she is also a part of the group of folks that are fighting back against this level of banning or relocating or removal of certain things. We have to also keep in mind that, again, we got to look back at the culture, folks. So if the culture doesn't speak to this level of urgency, then guess what's going to happen? We, the people, aren't going to feel like this is an urgent matter. Now, the thing that we are urgent about is arts of entertainment. And this weekend showed that as The Little Mermaid came out, the major show, movie that was put out by Disney, where our little sister Halle Bailey served as the main character. She played Ariel in the remake as the live action version of the story, The Little Mermaid. How that movie has created a firestorm of controversy, from everything from dealing with race issues to what one writer saying that this movie didn't have enough ink, K-I kink in it, to make it a fun and enjoyable experience. And we'll share with you a little bit more about that one. But The Little Mermaid has really started the conversation about what inspires women. And I think that that's a part of the discussion I want to have at another time. But looking at the race issue of how race has played a huge role in Disney making this determination and how it has generated millions of dollars at the box office. Brother Michael, you wanted to talk about this, brother, and I was a little surprised that you wanted to bring this up. When I thought you said, Veronica, can we talk about The Little Mermaid? And I was like, sure, let's talk about it. Major movie, did crazy numbers over the weekend. It dropped on Friday. The numbers have shown that it's made over $110 million at the box office. It takes $250 million to make. So they are still projecting that that this is going to be a film that's going to be able to pay back on its production costs. But the big point about this film is the cultural significance of it. A black woman playing this character that was originally put out as a white woman. But more importantly, all the other elements. First and foremost, I don't know if you've seen the movie. I went to see the movie. My daughter, she loves Mermaid. So I had to go see it.
No, I haven't seen it, and I probably won't see it.
You won't see it?
No, I probably won't see the movie, man. So here are a few things that I wanted to talk about. One, back in October, we talked about this on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and Dr. Grant Carr was on the panel with me, and Reese Colbert. And we talked about the racist backlash that Haley Bailey was receiving by a lot of white supremacists who didn't like the fact that they had an African-American woman cast, okay? So we dealt with that aspect, number one, and so we have to understand that I'm not a fan of the movie, and one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of the movie because for my understanding of interest of The Little Mermaid is a white boy, right? A white man, right? Am I correct? Yeah. See, now that's indicative of Disney movies, and this is what I sent you the video of my analysis of The Princess and the Frog. Did you watch that video?
I haven't watched that video just yet.
Okay. So
The Princess and the Frog, and it's funny because they're actually talking about possibly putting that out as a live action film as well.
Here's the problem with Disney. Disney does not have a problem depicting having African American women as princesses. Okay, The Princess and the Frog, Princess Tiana. It was animated. This is the first African-American female princess. When I heard Disney was going to do this, Disney has a history of racism, a long history going back to the 30s, 40s, things like this, of racism. Okay, yeah, they make some good movies. But when I first heard that they were going to have an African-American princess, I said, uh-oh. I said, watch for the hook. Sure enough, with The Princess and the Frog, the hook was two hooks. One, the love interest, Prince Naveen, is not African-American. He's not of African descent. He's this Eurasian, this white-looking Eurasian, Arab-looking, whatever he is. And this is going to be her savior. Her adversary, the enemy in the movie, was the voodoo priest, the black man.
Right.
In The Princess and the Frog.
Right.
Now, very quickly, brother, the movie The Princess and the Frog takes place in New Orleans, okay? New Orleans is part of Louisiana. Louisiana becomes a part of the Union, part of the United States, because of what's known as the Louisiana Purchase of 1803. Louisiana Purchase, the U.S. gets 820,000 square miles of land for about 3 cents an acre from France for $15 million. Napoleon Bonaparte in France. Why is France trying to sell all the land that they have here in what's known as the United States? Because they were partly, one of the reasons why is because they were fighting a war against these Africans in their colony called Saint Dominique. The Africans call it Haiti or Haiti. And the French were getting their asses kicked by these Haitians. And they were almost going bankrupt. So they had to raise money. Now, when you study the Haitian Revolution, which starts in 1791, one of the things that these Africans did to defeat not just the French, but also the Spanish and the British, who were allies of the French, they reclaimed their African spirituality. They cast aside their white God, as one of my teachers, Professor Kabahai Watakamene, says in the documentary 1804. They reclaimed African spirituality. What was the African spirituality they reclaimed? Vodou. What do white people call Vodou? Voodoo. Oh, so you mean in the movie The Princess and the Frog that takes place in New Orleans, you mean the adversary, the black man, was made evil and he's a voodoo priest which attacks African spirituality and...
All right, we continue this on the other side of the break. We're going to finish up that little segment, let you hear the rest of what I had to say, because I blew Faraji away with my analysis. Then I want you to hear this segment from Roland Martin Unfiltered, where we talk about the Biden-Harris administration fighting against the value of the lack of value of African-American homes. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. I gotta get ready for this last segment. I gotta find this other clip here from Roland Martin Unfiltered. Where is this? Back from break in 1 minute, everybody. Stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show. All right, I want to go back to the rest of this clip here. I want to finish that my train of thought. We were talking about the Little Mermaid, but I was breaking down the movie The Princess and the Frog. Let's go back to this clip, please, Aubrey.
Hey, looking Eurasian, Arab looking, whatever he is, and this is going to be her savior. Her adversary, the enemy in the movie, was the voodoo priest, the black man, right, in The Princess and the Frog. Right. Now, very quickly, brother, the movie The Princess and the Frog takes place in New Orleans, okay? New Orleans is part of Louisiana. Louisiana becomes a part of the Union, part of the United States, because of what's known as the Louisiana Purchase of 1803. Louisiana Purchase, the U.S. gets 820,000 square miles of land for about 3 cents an acre from France for $15 million. Napoleon Bonaparte in France. Why is France trying to sell all the land that they have here in what's known as the United States? Because they were partly, one of the reasons why is because they were fighting a war against these Africans in their colony called Saint Dominique. The Africans call it Haiti or Haiti. And the French were getting their asses kicked by these Haitians. And they were almost going bankrupt. So they had to raise money. Now, when you study the Haitian Revolution, which starts in 1791, one of the things that these Africans did to defeat not just the French, but also the Spanish and the British, who were allies of the French, they reclaimed their African spirituality. They cast aside their white God, as one of my teachers, Professor Kabahai Watakamane, says in the documentary 1804. They reclaimed African spirituality. What was the African spirituality they reclaimed? Vodou. What do white people call Vodou? Voodoo. Oh, so you mean in the movie The Princess and the Frog that takes place in New Orleans, you mean the adversary, the black man, was made evil and he's a weird African African spirituality and demonizes the very thing that the Haitians used to overthrow their white oppressors? Is this what you're saying that's in the movie? Okay.
Well, I gotta stop you right there, bro.
Pause it right there. Pause it right there, Aubrey. Pause it right there. Stop the clip. Okay, stop the clip. All right. Okay, so you can watch the rest of that. Stop the clip. Aubrey, stop the clip. All right. You can watch that. We'll have that on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, and on our YouTube channel. That's on Roland Martin's YouTube channel, also Roland Martin. Okay, I want to go. I just sent you clip number 4. We're about to go to that here in just a second, Aubrey. So Friday, June 2nd, I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered. We discussed this story here. TheGrio.com has this piece dealing with Vice President Kamala Harris leads new charge to address racial bias in home appraisals. Quote, for generations, many people of color have been prevented from taking full advantage of the benefits of home ownership. This is an article from June 3rd, 2023. The Biden-Harris administration has unveiled steps the White House will take to combat systemic racism and bias in home appraisal across the country. So we discussed this on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go to this clip, please, Aubrey.
Republicans love to say that there's no systemic racism in America, yet we continue to see systemic racism in the housing industry. The Biden administration is trying to tackle that. Vice President Kamala Harris on Thursday held a call with various news media outlets talking about these new rules. She announced that financial institutions must ensure that their appraisal algorithms are not biased and do not produce lower valuations for homes owned by people of color. The administration is also releasing guidance to make it easier for consumers to appeal what they suspect to be biased valuations. Harris noted that only about 5% of home appraisals are people of color, and she had the administration hopes to grow through training opportunities for groups underrepresented in the industry. The move is part of an effort to ensure fair algorithms and increase transparency for home valuations. Harris described home ownership as one of the ways for American families to build wealth. Joining us right now is Antoine Thompson, former executive director of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. We'll pull them up later. We'll pull up my panel right now. Michael Imhotep hosts the African History Network show out of Detroit. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi. Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, political analyst out of National Harbor, Maryland. Matt, I want to start with you. When I did this show with Patrick Bet-David, he claims he's independent, but he's hardcore conservative, out of Florida. And systemic bias came up. I talked about, these home appraisals. And he's like, oh, no, I don't believe that.
Imagine if you can make 2K or 5K or even...
All right, just skip over that. Just skip over that ad. And let's see, we're gonna just fast forward here.
The racism in home appraisals. I mean, they literally looked at the data and said, okay, what are the appraisals in this census tract compared to this one? And then he tried to say, well, I don't believe it. I'm like, oh, so I give you the proof and now you don't believe it. Well, this right here is the kind of proof we're talking about. African Americans are being negatively impacted when we talk about these algorithms. And what happens is these folks are praising the homes of black folks and others at a much lower value. And then what happens is you're trying to resell your home and you can't. What if you do, you're selling at a lower price. And so therefore you're not maximizing your profit. That continues to be racism in the housing industry.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And you have to be just completely, blind or have amnesia to not realize that every few years a story comes out, and they're largely anecdotal, but a story comes out about a family who got a bad appraisal. A black family usually gets a bad appraisal, and then they hide their race, and then the appraisal is considerably higher, right? So from just an easy demonstrable standpoint, you see that this happens because we see stories about it continuously. And we know that it happens, and I'm glad that the Biden administration is addressing this. What I am concerned about, and I'm hoping that your guest will clarify for me, is how they intend to cure the algorithm process. Because what concerns me is if the information that goes in is inherently flawed, then it'll come out with flawed results. And presumably they have some control for that. But that would be my concern. If you're looking at communities that have been historically undervalued, then putting that data in is presumably going to skew the data. But outside of that curative question, I'm glad to hear this because, as we know, home ownership is by far the primary vehicle for not only generational wealth, but for people of all colors to build wealth. So the idea that we are systemically being discriminated against in the values of our homes purely because of race and purely because of, discrimination is a horrible thing and literally takes money out of people's pockets. So I'm glad that the administration sees this as a priority and is addressing it.
And what's interesting here, again, Michael, Republicans want to deny this reality. You can have numerous stories where black homeowners say, oh, white appraiser came in and valued the home at this, and then we took all the black pictures down, we stripped it of all its blackness, and we had some white friends welcome them. All of a sudden, it's valued at $100,000, $200,000, or $300,000 higher. Hello.
Yeah, Roland. I've dealt with people like that. I've been on panels with black conservatives as well, more like grifters, because we've always had black conservatives, but most of the time they made sense historically. We had Craig DeLuce here on this show, and Reese Colbert and I dealt with him from Project 21. So these black conservatives parrot talking points from white conservatives. They cannot admit systemic racism exists. Because if they admit that systemic racism exists, then they will be tasked to provide policies to address systemic racism. They don't have policies to address systemic racism because it's not in the black conservatives' advantage. It's not in their best interest to address it because the people who are paying them benefit from systemic racism. Racism is...
All right, pause it right there. Pause it right there. I'll go on to say that... Okay, stop the clip. I go on to say that racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race, which comes out of the ideology of European white supremacy. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Right now, it's correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Also, contact me if you want me to speak at your Juneteenth events as well. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. All right, that's going to do it for us. Register for my online classes. Also support the African History Network, $, the AHN Show through Cash App, $, the AHN Show through Cash App, and through PayPal, paypal.me /the AHN Show. We have the information on the homepage of our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Right here, when you scroll down, you'll see the information for the radio show and for Cash App and PayPal also. Scroll down. Okay, so we have information for the radio show, Cash App, PayPal links, This is our official Cash App account, $ the AHN show, SHOW. These other ones are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. When you go to ours, it'll say Michael, and it'll probably show my picture there. Then we have the information for the online classes that I teach also. All right, we have to get out of here. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you next week. Peace.